Hello everyone and welcome to my patch notes rundown for Wild Rift patch 6.1D. You might be thinking, where's 6.1C? Well, that was a little patch that happened a while ago that basically only changed a few things in ARAM and Arena, but we don't really count that. This is 6.1D. Now, this might not be the last patch of 6.1 cycle. There's still 5 weeks left between now and the start of 6.2, so we'll probably get one more patch in between because we still don't have things like the Callista rework is not in this patch, also as well as the porcelain skins. They're also not in this patch, so there probably will be a future patch later on down the line. But it's a really big patch, 17 champion changes in total. No item changes this time around, but a lot of item champion changes, with some reworks, some big buffs, and some big nerfs as well to some champions that honestly should have been nerfed quite a long time ago. We also have the new champion Zillion, which will be releasing in a couple of days on June the 13th, which is a Friday, this coming Friday. I'm not too sure how Zillion's going to be, to be honest. I think with the whole rework that's happened with Zillion, with the third ability now having that AoE slow, your second ability is now the one that gives you the shield. You can't really double tap on your first ability anymore. You can't first ability, second ability, then first ability, get a quick stun off. Your first ability now has stacks. So I think the Zillion will play probably very differently to what he is doing at the moment over in PC League. I still think he'll be more of a support than a mid laner, but I'll definitely give him a try Friday, see what he's like. New Wild Pass skin with Battlecast Nasus, new companions, new adventure mode with One for All and Earth. Right, champion changes. Ambessa. This is finally the rework we've been waiting for. To be honest, Ambessa hasn't really actually been performing too well in the jungle because they've just nerfed her to the ground in terms of jungle. But now this is going to completely kill Ambessa in the jungle. One of the main reasons why is, as you can see with the first ability, the damage cap, there's now a damage cap on the first ability to jungle monsters, 55 to 265. So you're going to be doing a lot less damage now with your first ability. There's a lot of numbers here and there's probably a lot of confusion with you looking at this like what the hell is going on. Basically what they've done is the passive damage that you get now doesn't scale with the target's maximum health. It's now just flat damage, but that damage is a lot more. As you can see, you got 11 instead of 1. It doesn't scale as much with champion level, but that's fine. But now it scales with 25% of the your bonus attack damage, whereas before it was to do with the target's maximum health, you know, dealing bonus damage there. So nice bit of damage now from your passive, which is going to help you a lot when trading in the laning phase. Again, the whole reason they're doing this rework is they want Ambessa to be more of a laning phase champion in the Baron lane rather than being played in the jungle a lot. Then basically what they've done with her first ability is the target's maximum health that they removed from the passive, they basically added to all the parts of her first ability. These are just all the different parts of her first ability, all the different ways that you can hit, you know, damage to the first enemy hit with Sundering Slam, damage along the path for Sundering Slam, Blade Edge, which is the first part, and then the semicircle as well. But as you can see, before it was just base damage, now it scales, and now it does damage, based on target's maximum health. So it's not going to do as much damage in terms of bonus attack damage, but it's going to do more damage against champions that obviously have a lot of maximum health. Again, here, target maximum health, and target maximum health. Pretty nice. Second ability, you're now immune to crowd control effect for 0.5 seconds while casting. So when you do that little jump, you're going to be immune to crowd control, which is quite nice. The cooldown did go up by 1 second every rank, but to be honest, that's not going to make that much bigger a difference. The adjustment in terms of the damage, the base damage is going up and the bonus attack damage ratio is going up by a lot, by 30%, which is really, really big. And also the base damage is going up. And then the shockwave afterwards, when you successfully block an attack, that is also going up in the early game, but down in the later game. But again, scaling a lot with attack damage now, 120% instead of 80%. So again, they're really focusing on trying to get you more power for laning phase in terms of trying to jump in, do a bunch of damage, and try and trade a lot more during the laning phase. This is where I think Ambessa might be a little bit more trickier to play. What they're doing is they're removing the reset mechanic of her ultimate. So now you're not going to have like the Katarina reset mechanic. When you get a kill, all your abilities are going to reset in terms of cooldown. You don't get that anymore. We now get the PC League passive, which is giving her base armor pen, basically. So she's going to get armor pen with with her when she levels up her ultimate, and you also get an ability vamp as well. I think removing this is going to be an absolute killer for Ambessa, because the big thing with Ambessa right now is when she jumps in with her ultimate, when she kills someone, that reset mechanic allows her to then, you know, continue jumping into the fight, or, you know, try and disengage or something like that. Whereas afterwards, it's going to be quite difficult now. When you jump in and when you do a bunch of damage, you are going to be doing a lot of damage and you're going to be healing a lot. But then when you use all your abilities, even if you kill someone, them abilities are not going to reset. As you can see, this is reduced when you have monsters, and now you have damage reduction gained when Ambessa is unstoppable with her ultimate. So when you're flipping someone up in the air, when you're doing a bunch of damage, you're now going to take less damage overall. Yeah, I'm not too sure about this. I think this might be a mistake getting rid of the passive before the reset mechanic for the ultimate, but I could be wrong. This could also be really good. You know, armor penetration is going to be quite nice. Obviously, all your abilities are going to do more damage as well because they all got buffed, which is quite good. This might mean that you don't need to build Mortar Reminder, but I still think it's going to be pretty crucial. And again, you're going to have more healing as well. Going to be interesting. Ambessa's rework is not going to be out until June 26th, which is in 2 weeks time. So on that note, we're probably getting patch 6.1e on the first week of July, and that's probably also where we're going to get the patch preview, because patch 6.2 releases on the 17th of July. So that's going to be quite interesting. Fiora, this is also her mini rework bug fix sort of thing. Her passive, there's an adjustment which now reveals and marks vitals on nearby enemy champions. For before it was 1.5 seconds, now it's 2 seconds, so now you have longer time to try and proc the vitals. The duration of the vitals mark will be reduced with grand challenges level up. Lunge first ability, the speed of the lunge is now impacted by movement speed. So more movement speed you have, the speed of the lunge is going to be increased, which is quite nice. You do have to be a little bit careful though, in terms of, you know, when you're using your first ability and where you're aiming your first ability, because now you can target wards, traps, fruits, and other things as well. Of course, before you could attack minions and champions and monsters before, but now you can pretty much target everything else. The search vital range has also been increased, but the damage has gone down. So overall, this is all a buff. Like the speed buff is really nice. The vital range is really nice as well, but they are reducing the damage by 10. The ultimate, there was basically a bug with the ultimate where when you first use the ultimate, the first 0.5 seconds, so if you pressed ultimate and if you tried to proc the first vital within that first 0.5 seconds, you couldn't. It wasn't allowing you to. So they've got rid of that, which is really, really nice. That bug is now fixed. You now get a new passive where you have a timer now, which reduces for marking vitals, which again is quite nice. And then they also fixed the bug where ulti no longer stacks runes, which I didn't even know this was the thing anyway. And I don't know how this works. I don't know how the ulti, like, does it mean now when you proc vitals, you can't stack Conqueror and things? I don't know why this was a thing and why this is fixed. Maybe Fiora mains will know a little bit more as well. There's a lot of confusion, I think, with this change overall with Fiora. Again, the big thing to note is just like the speed of lunge, the bug fix, and also you can now reveal vitals from further away. Like this as well, like this new passive, 0.25, 0.5, 0.5 seconds reduced for marking vitals. So yeah. I'm not really too sure what that is either. There's a lot of confusion with this and a lot of text, but overall, I mean, this is a big help to Fiora anyway, which is really nice. The movement speed of lunge is also increasing for this ability. The range of targeting vitals has been increased. Passing on marks vitals more quickly, and the ultimate removes the activation delay. Yeah, we know about that. Yes, there's nothing in this text as well which goes towards this. Bit confusing. A few junglers getting buffed. Well, I say junglers, they're not really junglers, they're more Baron laners that they want to try and put into the jungle. Darius being the first one. I mean, this buff is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. Like, I think this buff is going to be scary. Passive damage is going up. The attack damage boost when you have 4 stacks of your passive is going up. This is crazy for Baron lane, by the way. Like, this is going to allow you to do crazy damage in early game and also help you a lot in trading during the laning phase and just damage in general when it comes to team fights. And then the damage to monsters on the passive is also going up. So they're trying to make Darius more of a jungle. The problem with Darius jungle is that he doesn't have any mobility. He doesn't have any dashes. So it's very difficult for Darius to like jump in and try and gank and try and make an impact during a fight. The jungle clear is going to help him a little bit, but I still don't think he will be a jungler. I think this buff is just crazy good for Baron lane. Like, this is disgusting for Baron lane. So yeah, that's a bit crazy. This basically doesn't mean anything at all. This is a completely worthless buff. The problem with Jax and why Jax doesn't play jungle right now is because his passive doesn't work on jungle camps. So you basically don't even get the passive attack damage anymore. So now they're trying to make it so you do more damage with your second ability to jungle camps. But again, his jungle clear speed is going to be way too slow, and I don't think he's going to be very strong at all. Nunu, this is very scary actually for Nunu support. I've actually been playing some Nunu jungle as well. I think Nunu jungle is actually pretty underrated. If you want another like tank jungler who is similar to someone like a Mumu or Rammus, then Nunu is also very good. But consume the damage bonus now scales more of your maximum health. The bonus health regeneration also scales more of your bonus health, and you now get more of a shield with your ultimate. Again, as I mentioned, Nunu support a very valuable, very strong pick right now in high elo. This is definitely going to help that. You're going to do just more damage with your Q. Again, with Nunu, you just stack HP anyway. You play tank Nunu as a jungler. I think they're trying to make it so Nunu basically stops building damage, because there are some Nunus which are still building like First Strike, Rod of Ages. They're trying to go for like full burst damage. They're probably trying to move people away from that, more of a tank. But again, this is going to be a buff to support Nunu as well, which again is going to be very scary. Fiddlesticks buffs. I think a lot of people saw this coming. I think Fiddlesticks is very weak at the moment. Not really maybe because of his damage, but I think more so his early game is just way too weak. Invading Fiddlesticks is one of the easiest things to do, because Fiddlesticks is just a sitting minion in the early game. You cannot do anything in the early game at all. If you invade with someone like a Lee Sin, a Xin Zhao, anyone like that, you can easily win duels early on, and you can easily just invade and put the Fiddlesticks behind. And then when Fiddlesticks is behind, it's very difficult for him to catch up. But they are increasing his base damage per second on his second ability, and also increasing the health regen, and they're lowering the cooldown of the ultimate. I personally don't think this is going to do too much. I still don't think Fiddlesticks is going to be good, but we'll have to wait and see. Pantheon buff is a little bit scary, even though they are only increasing damage by 10 with the crit damage and also the base damage. I still think it's pretty scary to buff Pantheon, because it's a champion that, if you know how to play Pantheon, especially Pantheon jungle, you know, he can 1v9, you can do so much, and buffing Pantheon means he can one-shot more, and Pantheon already does a lot of damage and can one-shot a lot of champions. So I think this is a pretty scary buff overall. Diana buff. A lot of people are probably going to think that Diana didn't really need a buff in jungle, but she is getting one with more of jungle than helping her in jungle, than mid lane. Her passive, of course, is going to help her with her jungle clear speed. It's going to have more base damage, which is going to help her in the early levels when she's coming through the jungle in the first, like, you know, few levels, which is going to be quite nice. And then the third ability now scales with more ability power, and also does a lot more base damage in the late game. So again, just trying to buff Dinah a little bit in terms of her jungle clear. This is not really going to help her in the mid lane, to be fair. Neither is this, because you never max really your third ability, so this is not really going to do anything either. Again, it's more to do with her jungle, just to help her a little bit with her damage. Katarina buff. She's in pretty bad for quite some time, to be honest. I mean, I think right now the meta is just so crowd control heavy. There's so much CC, there's so much craziness happening in terms of crowd control, that Katarina really struggles when trying to jump in and use her combos. But our base damage going up per level, which is quite a lot, 8 base damage per level. So it's like 88, 96 HP. Actually more than that. What am I saying? It's over 100 HP that you get now in late game with Katarina, which is quite nice. Passive damage is going up with champion level. Oh, it's the ability power percentage. So the AP percentage is going up by 0.5%, and it scales with your champion level as well. So the AP per level is going up, and then the movement speed gained with your second ability is also going up. Quite nice, because you can dodge abilities a little bit better with the second ability. Passive going to help you obviously with damage in team fights, and the health per level is going to make you a little bit tankier. This is quite nice. I think the problem with Katarina is just more of a champion thing, or more of a meta thing, than the champion herself. I think if there was games where you're not against a lot of crowd control, Katarina can work great. But these buffs are definitely going to help her. This is probably one of the scariest buffs this patch. Actually, no, there's one champion that's absolutely disgusting in terms of a buff, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But Ahri in general, I didn't even think was that bad. I think Ahri is completely fine. I think the problem is with Ahri, I guess, is kind of her one-shot potential. I guess like her early game as well feels a little bit weak. I've been playing a little bit of Ahri recently, and her early game feels a little bit weak. It feels like you don't do a lot of damage. She also is a little bit squishy, so getting 30 base health is completely fine. Like, these are scary buffs though. Like passive, the base health going up. The first ability now scales with more ability power. It's 45% instead of 40%, so the scaling damage is going to be really nice. This is the scary part though. Target searching range will temporarily be increased when Ahri's basic attack or charm hits an enemy champion or epic monster. Now what you can do is you walk up, you auto attack, and your Foxfire is going to get increased range. So that means that it's going to help you guarantee that you hit your Foxfire when you land an auto attack or when you land a charm. And Foxfire will also be cast quicker as well, so it can help a lot with your burst damage. This overall is a really, really nice buff. It's pretty scary buff at the same time. This buff is also pretty nice, and based off in the early game means that she has a bit more survivability. I think Ahri is going to be one of the best mid laners to play next patch. Malignance already got buffed as well, and the item is very strong at the moment. And Ahri in general is one of the best users with Malignance. More Yasuo changes, more Yasuo rework, I guess you can say, in a way. They really want him to build crit. Like, look at this. They're making his passive now scale with critical strike chance. They're really trying to stop people from playing tank Yasuo. They tried to do it last patch. It didn't really help. People were still building tank Yasuo because it's just a lot better, a lot more reliable overall. But they're buffing his passive shield back up. And now it's plus 100% of your critical strike rate. So you get basically 100 extra shield depending on your critical strike rate. Yeah, they really want to make sure that people build crit, which is pretty crazy. You also have the ultimate as well, bonus armor pen gained when with critical strike. So again, trying to make sure that people build critical strike chance. Called on the same target or the same enemy champion. This is going down by 1 second every rank, so you can use your third ability on the same target a bit more often. And his first ability now scales more with attack damage. So again, they're trying to make it so you build more damage and you can deal more damage. So that's going to be the boss there to Yasuo. Samira, only really a kind of duo queue champion if you're playing with a support that's a tank support like Alistar, Leona, Nautilus. You know, Samira plus Nautilus can be one of the strongest combos in the game. Not very good for solo queue because you have to have great communication and a good understanding in terms of duo, because you have to know when to dash in, when you have the opportunity to go in with Samira. But passive movement speed increased per level up, so she's going to get about 10% more increased movement speed with her passive. Her first ability damage is going up by 10% every single rank, and her third ability attack speed gain is going up by 10% at every single rank. So more attack speed on the third ability, more attack damage, and more movement speed. Really nice buffs. I still think Samira is going to be locked behind duo queue champions or duo queue players with like Nautilus and tank supports with CC, as I mentioned, but still some nice buffs overall. Draven, I don't think this is going to do anything. I think Draven just struggles right now because he's very squishy and he just doesn't do a lot of damage. Draven has struggled ever since the durability patch. He can't snowball in the early game. He can't do enough damage. I don't think this is going to do anything at all with his damage. I think he's just going to be as bad as what he was in the previous patch. So I think they needed to buff more with Draven, but maybe they're a little bit worried that they don't want Draven to be, you know, completely broken. Thresh changes is nice. I really like playing Thresh. Cooldown the first ability is nice. Attack damage is really good for Thresh in the early game. Plus 4 AD in the early game for Thresh. You have to remember that his third ability also gives him more damage with his auto attacks as well. So if you start with your third ability and if you try and trade at level 1, your auto attacks are now going to do a lot more damage. And this is what Thresh wants to be. Aggressive in the early game, dealing damage and trying to get ahead during the early game. So these are some really, really nice Thresh changes. This is the most disgusting buff I think I have ever seen. Nautilus did not need a buff. This champion did not need a buff at all. At all. This is crazy. Even in terms of tankiness, he didn't need more tankiness. He was completely fine as he was already. Health per level going up, so you get like an extra 100 HP for free. Armor per level going up, you get like an extra 10 armor for free. The base damage, look at this base damage. 70, 130, 190, 250, 90, 150, 210, 270. They give it 20 base damage to the first ability, and they give him more base damage of each wave, remember, on the third ability. So each wave is now going to deal more damage. I mean, this is the most unneeded, undeserved, disgusting buff. I mean, Nautilus is going to be completely broken next patch. If he's not broken, I think it's a player's problem more than anything else. Also, Nautilus jungle is going to be crazy strong, because now you have more base damage on your third ability and your first ability. So your combos are just going to do more damage now overall. So yeah, this is undeserved, unneeded. Please, mate, hopefully this doesn't go to live, but it probably will because I have patch notes already. Kind of sad. Nerf to Volibear, which is good. Problem is they're not nerfing his damage. So his damage on his second ability is still going to be a lot. The health regeneration, though, how much health he was gaining with his second ability is going down. So his healing is going down by a little bit, which is quite nice. But again, for me, it's the damage of the second ability, which is a huge problem. And the shield duration is going down by 0.5 seconds. Volibear is still going to be completely fine. Still going to be a great champion to play. Nocturne, first ability going down by 15 base damage, which is really big, and also his additional attack damage is going down. Not so much during the early game, but as you get more levels in your first ability, you know, maximum rank now, you're losing 15 attack damage on your first ability, and you're also losing 15 base damage. So this is a pretty big nerf to Nocturne. It's going to hurt his jungle clear and also his carry potentials in the game. Still think he's going to be quite good to play. He's more of like a snowball champion that can use his ultimate very well, but in general he needed a nerf. Another champion needing nerf was Corki and also Seraphine. So Corki base damage is going down by 4, and the third ability, the base damage is going down, as well as the bonus attack damage ratio, and now you don't shred as much armor and magic resist, sorry. Passive is still there. You still do a lot of true damage with Corki. The early game, I think this is fine. To be fair, Corki should never do a lot of damage in the early game anyway. The problem was that Corki was a strong early game, and also he had one of the strongest late games as well, with like Manimune, Trinity Force, all these other strong items. But yeah, so yeah, they needed to nerf his early game. So early game damage going down, great. And then shredding of the magic resist and the Gatling gun damage is quite nice. I don't mind this. But his power is still there. You know, the true damage from his passive is still going to be there. Seraphine, they thought they nerfed Seraphine by nerfing all the support items and getting rid of Redemption. Guess what? You just ignore Redemption, you build Harmonic Echo and all the other support items, and this champion is still insanely broken. So they have to nerf Seraphine, which is definitely needed. Cooldown on the second ability is going up by 2 seconds at every rank. Problem is, though, is that for some reason, they're nerfing the AP ratio of the second ability, and the base shield is only going down by 10. So they needed to nerf this more. They could have kept the AP ratio the same. 35% I think is completely fine. They just needed to nerf the base shielding. That's the problem, because support Seraphine doesn't build a lot of ability power. She builds support items. So yeah, I think they've missed it in terms of what they needed to nerf here. I mean, this is quite nice, going up by 2 seconds. But yeah, Seraphine was very strong, so no wonder she gets nerfed. Some ARAM changes. There's actually an interesting item here being added as well, which is from PC League, Axiom Arc, which might come to normal Rift very soon. New items. This is only an AAA RAM though. But Axiom Arc is like the armor pen item, which allows you to reduce your ultimate's ability cooldown. 3,200 gold, 18 pen, which is a lot. So it's like a lot of armor pen. 55 AD, 20 ability haste, 3,200 gold. Whenever a champion dies within 3 seconds of you having damaged them, refunds 20% plus 2% of your armor penetration of your ultimate's abilities cooldown. It can be quite nice if you're playing like Talon, or Zed can also be very good as well. Both of these champions can use this very well, and just AD Assassin in general can use this very well. Maybe Kha'Zix can also be pretty good. But yeah, that's all the changes. Only one skin, as I mentioned, Blood Moon Zillion, no porcelain skins. Again, I think that because Ambessa rework is coming out on the 26th of June, we will not have a patch until after then. 26th of June is in 2 weeks, and then the week after that, we'll probably get 6.1e. That's everything. That's all the changes, all the rundowns. Again, let me know what you think in the comments as always. And make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all in the next video. Remember, I will be live streaming tomorrow as well. I'll be live streaming this new patch. If you want to tune into live stream, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you tune on YouTube, or you can tune in over on my Twitch channel. But until then, stay safe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.